Hey guys, this is JP back for another world tour video. This time we'll be stopping in the Philippines for our Asia leg of this journey of ours, and this is where I'm from. This is where I was born, and so I do have opinions about how the country is and where it could go in terms of improvement. But I love this place, so let's get into it. After a good 2.5 to 3 hour journey through traffic, we finally make it to our hotel, which was only about 10 kilometers from the airport, but it took 2 hours. And we are going to be spending the majority of our time here in the BGC, or Bonifacio Global City. And this is probably the most developed part of the Philippines. Here you'll find a lot of developed buildings, a lot of nice sidewalks to walk around, and a lot of areas to just stroll without any issue. This is the SM Aura Mall, and this is just one example of the many malls that are present in the BGC. And like I mentioned, this is a very, very well-developed part of the Philippines, so you're going to find multiple areas of shopping in this area. This area really caters to rich Filipinos as well as foreigners who have money. And so you're going to see a different side of the Philippines here. It is definitely much more different than you would see in other parts of this country. So just be prepared. This is Market, which is just down the street. And this is also another shopping area. So we have been traveling now for a good 6 weeks at this point, and it's time that we needed to kind of resupply on some of the things that we needed. You saw earlier that my son was getting his eyes checked, and that's basically where we are in the terms of our trip. We're trying to catch up with some of the other things in our lives that are necessary here. So we did get some other supplies like contact lenses and glasses for my son. Philippines is known for being extremely affordable, and that is certainly the case in terms of what we've been looking for around here. This isn't a question of affordability, but this is more a question of whether or not traveling to the Philippines is actually worth it. And if you were to ask me, yeah, I'll be blunt with you, it's definitely worth it because I'm from here, but there are definitely challenges as well. This is not the best example of traveling to the Philippines. Like I had said, this is the most developed part of the Philippines, and so you're going to see a very highly urbanized area where everything is developed, lots of cars, lots of walkable sidewalks, but this is not the case with the entire country. So if you are coming here, do not think that the BGC is an accurate representation of the entire nation, because it isn't. Unfortunately, a lot of the issues surrounding the Philippines has to do with more governmental issues and corruption. Here you could see us eating our favorite halo-halo that we've had on this entire trip. This is an amazing halo-halo. If you've never had halo-halo, it's basically an iced dessert, and this is the tastiest one we had in the entire part of our trip. And so here we are walking through another urbanized area. This is the mall right next to that market area, and you can see this is basically one of the prime activities to do in this area, which is basically just walking around the mall and shopping, because it's very, very hot in the Philippines. It rains a lot during the wet season, and this is kind of a reprieve. If you haven't hit that like button, please do. It really helps with my ego and this channel, so thanks for joining me. But like I was saying, this is a very, very unique representation of what the Philippines is and what it can be potentially. But unfortunately, because of all of the infrastructure and governmental issues, you don't see this everywhere, which is a shame, and you do see a lot of poverty. This is us walking through Bonifacio High Street. This is one of the more urbanized walkable areas in this city, and it's very, very nice. Again, you can see how well developed and clean this area is. If you were to compare this area to some of the streets that you might see in El Nido or in Coron or other parts of the provinces, you would have a totally different experience. This is like living in America for some of us. I mean, you can walk down the street and not see any of the signs and be confused for maybe walking through Chicago or something of that nature. But this is a very, very nice area. And here we are walking through it to get to the Mine Museum, which is one of the recommended areas to visit. And this is basically just a museum of things that might intrigue your 11-year-old son, in my case. Here you'll see a lot of different exhibits that are science-based, and essentially it's just to get the youth involved with the sciences, kind of get them more engaged with more intellectual scientific possibilities. It's a very, very cute exhibit. It's not as large as I would have hoped. It is rather small. You could probably do this whole entire museum in a matter of 1 or 2 hours. It's not that big. That said, my son did enjoy the exhibits that were there, so it might be worth it if you have small children to come and see this museum if you're in town. But to get back to my point, this is a very, very highly developed area that is in such great contrast to some of the other areas that we'll be exploring throughout all of this. And you'll be able to see the difference in the urbanized areas here with the kind of less developed areas of the Philippines as we go through this trip. But needless to say, this was a nice stop, and it was, like I said, more of a tour where we were really trying to resupply on some of the things that we needed to get, as well as kind of just settle some things back home. So there wasn't a lot of activities here. It was rainy for the most part in terms of this part of our trip, but it was still generally pretty highly enjoyable. You could see that my son was really having a great time in this museum, so it might be worth a stop. The Philippines is really just a big, big, big ball, and interspersed with beautiful, beautiful things. So that said, let me break down the cost for you in terms of at least the Manila part of our journey here. We spent $280 on lodging, and in terms of transportation, that was the biggest chunk of our cost here at $1,265. That included the flights to Manila. We spent about $155 on food, which is entirely reasonable, and then we spent $225 on general supplies that included, like I mentioned, the contact lenses and some other supplies. Our grand total came out to about $1,925, which broke down to about a $385 average per day, which is still generally quite affordable. That said, this was the first part of our Philippines journey. The next stop is going to be Coron. Please like and subscribe. Thanks.